Alright, you bastards, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today I want to talk about the 5 items that you as a prepper cannot cheap out of. These are the gear that you cannot take the risk to go with the cheaper price of it. I would say these are the items that you need to buy that is worth their high prices and is a good investment. But before we start talking about that, if you're interested in survival courses in Belgium, there will be a link to in the description to my website survivaltrainingbelgië.be and also to my book called Belgian Crosses. So if you're interested, take a look. So the 5 items that I spent the most money on in my gear, but I say it's worth it because I've been testing all types of gear and clothing and stuff, and yeah, there are certain things that I definitely regret buying, but these are the 5 items that are worth their high price. And the first one I would say is this backpack. This is a Kajka Fjallraven trekking backpack, and this one is the most expensive item you will see on the list because I have tested so many types of backpacks. I tested all sort of army backpacks, old and new. I've tested several types of trekking backpacks, several types of other types of backpacks, and this one is worth it in my opinion. It was a hefty price, to be honest, and I was even doubting to buy it, but I thought, fuck it, I need a good backpack. And the reason why is it has everything you need. It is durable material. I'm not sponsored, by the way, but if you want to feel Raven, please do. It got good hip grips around it. It got it's elastic, but it still got a frame on top of it. It has several pockets that you can take out and take in very quickly, and can fit a lot of stuff inside of it. So, and it's a nice color. So yeah, a backpack you cannot take a risk with. I've tested several that were not fitting, and even when I thought they were fitting, the moment I went on a long hike with them, certain things started to scrub against my skin, and I got blisters, burning wounds from them, sometimes even a cutting wound, and sometimes they are not in the way that they are, the pockets are there, they are not evenly distributed, or certain things could not fit in. So yeah, those were a little bit annoying, but this backpack is something that you cannot cheap out of. The backpack is everything you will carry, and if it's a burden on your body, or if you cannot be adapted to your body, then I would say then it's not worth the money. So that's the first thing I would say is it's worth its price, a good backpack. The second thing I would say is a good multi-tool. I would say if you're going for a multi-tool, a Swiss Army knife and a Leatherman. One of those grips that you can open. A good multi-tool is you cannot cheap out of. I've tested several in the past, and with cheaper ones, it was always the same problems. Either it was at the points where the tools are connected that gave up after a certain amount of time or stress in the field, or they had certain parts that started to rust, or for certain tasks they were not durable enough with the material. So yeah, that's in cases that certain cutting tools were starting to bend, or that kind of stuff, or started to break. Yeah, wear and tear. But for a good price, you will get a good multi-tool. So don't cheap out on these. It's not worth it to get the $5 multi-tool. So yeah, this should be a small, how do you say this? Gereedschapkoffer. A toolbox. This should be a mini toolbox for your bug out bag, and a good toolbox needs good tools. Otherwise, it's dead weight. So that's the second thing I would say that you cannot cheap out of. The third thing I would say is, and it is also an important one, boots. Uh, these boots are the third most expensive thing in this in this list, and I would say a good boot is a lifesaver. I've tested several types of footwear, and when you got that boot, that boot, the boot that fits you well, suits your body, suits for the terrain that you're going all around. So yeah, you many people would say, yeah, that's a little bit expensive, but trust me, it's worth it because your feet need to carry you to your bug out location, and you need to go in different types of terrain: wet terrain, muddy terrain, hard terrain, rocky terrain, over glass, over sharp objects. It must be must be able to run with it, but also do long durable distances, and it needs to be breathable, but not too. It cannot leak water inside of it. So yeah, that perfect balance boot is one of the most important things you can have as a prepper. So don't cheap out on your boot. Don't buy 10 and cheaper boots and think you can rotate them. These boots I had for I would say 4 or 5 years, and they've carried me through the mountains of Norway, the Scottish Highlands. I've been walking them everywhere I ever went, actually. So yeah, boots is something that you cannot cheap out of. But first, test them always, because you need to find that boot that is perfect suited for you. Um, Third one I would say is wool clothing. That is a big, thick woolen vest made out of sheep wool. It's very thick. This is for winter, and this is one of those merino wool. This is much more lighter, but has several good, the same good properties. And I'm a big fan of wool clothing. And it's not only in sweater; it's in everything. I have bought now woolen socks, woolen sweaters, woolen t-shirts, woolen vest, even a merino wool underwear. And I cannot tell you how much of a game changer that is. Wool, especially merino wool, is very expensive. It was like, for a merino wool underwear, it was like 45 euros, which in the past I would never have given to it, till I discovered that wool material is so good, because you need to think about the multifunctionality of it. Wool and merino wool, it's when it gets wet, it will retain 80% of its insulation value. So even when you're soaking wet, it can keep you a little bit warm. I had to learn this the hard way with my woolen blankets. And also the thing is, it's very durable. You can sit close to the fire, that if one of those sparks land on you, it will not burn a hole, because it's a little bit fireproof. You cannot put it into the fire, but it will. You can sit very close to the fire to heat you up without the risk of melting or getting sparks that will make holes inside of your clothing. So that's another benefit of it. It dries fast. And another thing that I like is, if I'm going for a long hike for several days, the wool only pulls moist from your skin and not the oils. And the oils is something that synthetic materials also take on, and that will feed bacteria and it will start to smell. With wool, you don't have that problem. I have these woolen socks that I carry, these long woolen socks. These hasn't been washed in 4 months, and they don't smell at all. So I can testify to you. If you wear woolen clothing, you will be less likely to smell and less likely to get dirty. So that's another very important thing. So woolen clothing can be expensive, but it's worth its price for every season, I would say. And the last item on the list, I would say, is a good stove. And that is a solar stove. I made a video about this, and this has been also a game changer. I have tested several stoves in the past, and all stoves work, no doubt about it. But every stove had his speciality. Some stoves cover up the smoke, but they made noise because of the ventilator. Other types of stoves, they had too many holes, so with wind it would blow too much wind inside of it, and that's not handy if you want to start a fire or to maintain a certain type of fire. And other stoves need fuel, so that's something that I also don't like. I want something that I can gather small twigs on the way and use them as fuel. And it can also not to be heavy. Some stoves were good, but they were too heavy. With this, it is very light. It is very efficient in fuel. You can use every solid fuel you can put inside of this. It will rebreathe the smoke and burn it off. So there is almost no smoke to see here. And yeah, it can make things very hot. And you can put a pan or a pot on top of it. So yeah, it was a little bit of a hefty price in my opinion, because I just actually in the beginning I bought this for shits and giggles to try it out and to see what the fuzz is all about, and I'm converted to this solo stove is one of the best stoves that I ever had for my bug out bag, and I can also put other stuff inside of it, so that's another good thing. Yeah, like I said, it was a little bit hefty, but it almost fits in every scenario for my bug outs that I need. So yeah, if you know if you want to make a list of the 5 items that you would never cheap out of, please let me know in the comments. I'm always eager to learn others' perspectives. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and see you in the next video about the 5 things that you don't need to be make expensive. So watch out for that video. Cheers!